Hey guys, before we get into this week's episode, I just wanted to give a trigger warning for SA, child abuse, racism, and violence. So just keep that in mind, and I hope that if it's safe for you to watch, that you would watch because it's a very educational episode. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Big Blonde and Beautiful, the podcast. If you're new here, my name's Karolina Howie, and each week I pick a piece of media with fat representation in it, and I talk about the positive and the negative. As you may have seen from the title, this is a little bit different of an episode. It's a bonus episode where I'm going to be talking with Kaila Yu about her book coming out on August 19th. Kaila has been a singer, songwriter, actress, import and pinup model, freelance journalist, and now she's the author of her very own book. I feel very lucky to have her here and discuss the topic of the fetishization of Asian women. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
So the book that we're discussing today is called Fetishized, A Reckoning with Yellow Fever, Feminism, and Beauty. Could you give our listeners a short little synopsis of what your book is about?
Yeah, definitely. It's a memoir, but it's done in essay style. And it's also a cultural criticism of the media that influenced me growing up. So stuff I loved, like Memoirs of a Geisha and Harajuku Girls and Fast and Furious, that now when you look back, it's like kind of questionable and like maybe straight up toxic. But I loved it at the time. And it really influenced a lot of my choices.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of media hasn't aged very well.
Yeah, we're doing a revisit of the 2000s in general, right?
Yeah, 2000s was not great for a lot of people. Basically, if you weren't like a thin, skinny white woman, it wasn't a great time.
I mean, even if you were, Britney Spears got ripped apart.
True.
Pamela Anderson got ripped apart. So no one was safe.
I take it back.
No one was safe.
Yeah, you're right. Nobody was safe. So obviously a big part of this is talking about yellow fever, which I didn't realize that term actually comes from a disease transmitted by mosquitoes.
Yeah, because my book was originally titled Yellow Fever Hustler. And then when my editor was like running it by people, they were like, oh, like that disease?
Oh, no.
So they're like, okay, let's just change it.
You said, no, not that.
Yeah, it is a disease, an actual disease. Yeah.
Which is crazy because now when I don't think of that, when I think of yellow fever, I think of what you talk about in your book, which is people being like Asiaphiles. And I just had never heard that before. And it also, I wrote in my notes, like, it kind of makes it seem involuntary. Like, I feel like it puts the responsibility of the fetishization onto the Asian women.
Oh, I've heard the craziest quote yesterday about rape culture, which we kind of live in, right? So it was saying rape culture places the blame on the victim instead of saying don't rape, it says don't get raped. Yes. And that's the same thing, like always taking the focus off the man's responsibility. So that's very similar.
Yeah, that whole rape culture is very, it's like we tell girls, hey, don't wear this, don't do this, stay in a buddy system or whatever, don't drink too much. But then the boys were never like, hey, don't rape people. Like,
yeah, maybe don't do that.
Yeah. You know? Maybe just find someone to have consensual sex with and do that instead. So you said that Memoir of a Geisha was a big inspiration for you and for writing like the essays in this way. And then also you said it influenced you when you were first starting your career. And so looking back on it, why do you think it influenced you so much actually? Why?
I mean, I first read the book, which came out years before the movie came out, and the book is beautifully written. Like, it's just such a good book. And then it's just like, really, I mean, the gist of the movie that we all ignore is that it's about like child sex trafficking. I think she's like trafficked when she's 9, and then she falls in love with the chairman dude who's like 45 or like 40 years old or something like really extreme. And then like the fairy tale ending is she gets to be his sugar baby, basically his mistress. Yeah, and that's like, oh, so romantic, the ending.
Yes.
But I think it influenced me so much because, first of all, there were so few English books written about Asian women at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it really glamorized, like, oh, how cool it is to be a geisha performing for men because it was written by a man. So it just romanticized being a geisha. Like, oh, the process of getting made up and like the glamorous kimonos and like the lifestyle. So yeah, it was super romanticized for me.
No surprise that it was written by a white dude, considering
Yeah.
they're like, the best thing in life would be for you to get the attention of this man. And it's
Yes,
like, okay.
It's a super old man, by the way.
Yeah, I've always found those. I feel like Hollywood loves to make those types of movies, especially in the early 2000s, of like these young girls like seducing or being seduced by like an older man. I'm like, that is really weird and pedophile-y and
I'm so glad so much has changed since then. But like, even go back further, the 2000s is improved from, say, Woody Allen's era, where he was like dating 17 and 18-year-old girls, like in his movies and glamorizing it.
And then ended up marrying
his daughter. Stepdaughter, but yeah.
Very creepy. Yeah, no. I've not ever seen a Woody Allen movie because I've known like that he's yucky, so I'm like, I'm really okay.
That's good. That's good that that's like influencing a new generation to not watch his stuff. People loved Woody Allen's movies.
Yeah. I really try to be conscious of what I watch and who I support. Obviously, there are times where like I didn't know when I watched it that this was happening, and that's for a lot of people, but I do try and pay attention because it just ruins it for you when you learn about it later. Like when, a little off topic, but I don't know if you ever heard about like all the Army Hammer stuff that happened.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, and so many people don't know about it, and like a bunch of my friends don't know. And I'm like,
thought it was such a huge.
I know, and I'm like, guys, he did all these insane things. How did you not hear about it? But like, Call Me by Your Name, I liked that movie. Can't watch it anymore.
Oh, I don't think I ever saw that. I guess I was never a huge fan of his, so I really followed it closely just because it was so gossipy. But it was insane. I just know he was from the Facebook movie. Is that him?
Yes, Social Network. Yeah, he played like twins. Yeah, I think in that movie.
I mean, there's always males getting like Jared Leto got. Did you see the viral article about Jared Leto?
I did not.
Yeah, it just came out last week or so. But basically, he was like being highly inappropriate with numbers of underage women and like possibly has a cult or something.
Yeah. Oh my God. Honestly, why does that kind of not surprise me?
Nobody's surprised by that news, actually.
He kind of does give off like Charles Manson type vibes a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Just a little. But yeah, Hollywood's crazy. But so as you said, there wasn't a lot of representation for you to look for, and there wasn't a lot of books written in English about Asian culture. So now with like the popularity of K-pop and anime, that visibility has increased. What does that mean to you, and what do you think that means to younger people who are seeing that?
I mean, so much has changed since I was growing up. If you were to ask like high school me if K-pop being played on the radio, it's like absurd, unbelievable. Like I never would have dreamed it in a million words. Like hearing Korean on Kiss FM or whatever. And I think it's really huge for anyone to have representation, because now when I was growing up, I never thought like I wanted to be a singer, but I was like, oh, that seems impossible because 0 people are doing it that look like me. I think that little Asian girls can dream bigger because there's some representation. But then we also have to be careful because like South Korea is a highly patriarchal culture, and they have their issues too with the infantilization of women. And so we don't want to ignore that that's happening too while we celebrate the representation.
Yes. Yeah. We want to make sure that it's happening in a healthy way, because I know I've heard that they're worked very hard. Is that correct? Yeah.
I mean, they joined the system in their early teens and they worked very hard. And some stories have come out of some of the girls. They're not allowed to date, right? But some stories have come out from former K-pop stars who said they were forced to like have to date older executives, but then they're not allowed to date in their personal lives. So that's like super.
Because they have to remain appearing available.
Yes, like, appearing available and then servicing. Yeah.
Creepy older men.
Always really creepy older men.
Yeah, they're everywhere. God, can we get rid of them? I don't know how, but And so you also talked about Memoirs of a Geisha was written by a white man, and the movie was directed by a white man as well.
Yeah, I can't remember the director, but I'm pretty certain like 99.9% that it was
I would be, yeah. Most movies are directed by white men, so it's a pretty
safe guess.
Yes. So something else that I found interesting, because I learned a lot from reading this book. I really enjoyed your book, and was like, I didn't realize how much, because obviously colonizing, we've done it for forever. It sucks. It's horrible, but I didn't realize how much America, and specifically like the army, the military, colonized like Asia, and having these brothels that were there specifically for them, and then that becoming like part of the culture is so crazy.
Of course you don't know about it. That's definitely not something that is being, promoted in history books or anything, or taught in classes. So I think a lot of people will learn a lot about those sections, because that's like, it was totally the military, like industrial complex of providing women, Asian women, to soldiers as like a reward for going to war.
And I didn't even realize that they passed a bill or whatever it was called, where those women could come over to be wives. And I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah, there's a lot of laws being passed to help the homesickness of soldiers.
I'm like, y'all, it's not, I feel like, I don't know, figure something else out. It's so like mind-boggling. I can't even like wrap my head around it. I'm like, only men would think of that. I feel like. One thing that I want my listeners to hear, and why I was so interested in talking about this, even though it's not that representation, which is normally what I talk about, is because I'm always up for learning about other cultures and how I can be more aware of what I say and what I do. And I want to share that with my listeners as well. So
yeah, I love that. And thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Something else I found interesting in your book, which kind of relates to the whole yellow fever and how it takes the pressure off the people that are doing the fetishization, is the metaphor of the butterfly. I thought it was really powerful because you said it's like the butterfly is being captured and killed and then discarded, and that's kind of how Asian women are treated a lot of times. Because I didn't even realize how much like Asiaphiles see them as just like discard, like they're the same person.
Yeah, there's a famous guy doing it right now. Should I forget? Post Malone, I think.
Oh God.
Yeah, so he had like an Asian fiance, and she was probably like 29 or something. And now he's like running around town with this 19-year-old. He ditched his fiance with the baby and is running around town with a like 19-year-old college student Asian girl. So that's like a pretty good illustration of that, I think.
Yeah.
Not that it's limited to age. I mean, there's plenty of celebrities who are all trading in for younger, like Leonardo DiCaprio, who never dates older than whatever.
25, I'm pretty sure.
But it's like that objectification, infantilization on top of fetishization. Yeah.
And you're also saying like it's worse because industries like the porn industry, they commercialize like this idea of this submissive, like wanting to please, very docile, like Asian woman type of
I mean, it's
story.
crazy because I write that there was a list that came out, I think 10 years ago, 50 of the top Asian porn stars in the world. It's still hard to name 50 top Asian singers in America.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, if you went to Korea or whatever, but top 50 hottest Asian female singers,
Yeah.
but you can easily make a list of porn stars. So that's like troubling.
Yeah, the statistics that you gave of like the type of porn and then also just like the amount of it being looked up, specifically like Asian porn, was a crazy amount. And
Yeah, there
especially,
used to be. Oh,
yeah.
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, especially with the violence, it's so like disheartening to see that.
Yeah, there was a I wish I remembered her name, but she gave a TED talk about like how Google algorithms are like perpetuating stereotypes. And it used to be when you typed in Asian girl in Google, it would, you know how it fills it in with like, it would
Yeah.
just be like porn, 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 porn,
Oh
porn.
God.
So Google, I think, has changed it since she gave that TED talk, but that's what it used to be. Yeah.
Yikes. I'm hopefully they've changed it. You're so right, because like in mainstream media, I probably couldn't name 5 Asian singers,
Yeah.
or I could maybe name 5 Asian actresses.
Yes. Yeah.
Just
Actress
'cause,
is a little bit easier.
yeah.
But yeah.
Do you feel that representation has gotten a lot better? Like with, I know you mentioned um Crazy Rich Asians in the book. Like with things like that and Parasite and what's the one, the Everything Everywhere
Yeah,
All at
that's a good one
Once?
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gotten so much better. I mean, there's still a long ways to go, but it's gotten so much better. I would like to see more Asian American singers. Like, I'm grateful for the K-pop stars for sure. But it would be great. I think Olivia Rodrigo may be the only Asian I can think of. She's half Filipino. But off the top of my head, I can't name anyone else who's like a mainstream like household name.
And it's also good to see people in different genres.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, you kind of get pigeonholed into this idea of like, oh, you can only sing this type of music or look this type of way to be successful.
Yeah,
And then
absolutely.
younger people seeing that, they're like, oh, if I want to be able to be recognized for doing something that I love, I have to do it this way. And so, and it's very difficult to break that glass ceiling and, you know, break into it, which I'm sure you know very well, because I literally was reading your book and I'm like, I feel like she's lived 10 different lives.
I think I was just confused. It's what I wanted to do. Yeah, I just like, well, you know why? This is why, because I was always seeking validation. So I was like, oh, let me find validation in import modeling. Then I didn't find validation because ultimately what I want is what everybody wants, is like to be loved or whatever. But then I was like, let me find validation as a singer, because like that will prove that I'm more than just a pinup girl. And then I did that. And then I wasn't validated. So I went to, so it was just like trying to find validation in a bunch of careers.
Yeah. As someone who like does performing and stuff, I totally understand the whole like craving validation. I feel like most people in the performing arts do it in some degree for that. So whether or not that's their main motivation depends, but I feel like I would say most people who do that,
that's probably a factor,
would say, yeah, absolutely. So when we're talking about representation getting better and evolving, you mentioned like this trend of the Asian baby girls / Asian baby gangsters, and how that was trying to break away from these stereotypes, but then they ended up kind of becoming a new stereotype. So how do you think that we would be able to break away from just immediately like people going and making it a fetishization of something new? Like,
gosh, I don't know
I know
if I know the solution to that, because
I
it
know.
is I think I quote this research paper writer, and it's just like almost impossible for an Asian woman to break out of that under the patriarchy and the years of whatever oppression. But I think it's by educating the men, because the men are doing the fetishizing, right? Like we're to see, maybe like if because it's funny. Some of my followers, I think my book's like a funny, like sexy romp through my history.
You're like,
Yeah,
are you in for a
yeah, in for
surprise?
a surprise. But hopefully they'll keep on reading and see why fetishization is damaging, because a lot of men don't understand it. They're like, it's a compliment, like we like you, you know?
Yes. I feel like that's very similar with fat people as well. I heard this metaphor like forever ago where it's like you don't walk into the grocery store and feel the need to scream at the top of your lungs that you love oranges the best. It's kind of
Yes,
like
yeah.
that where like I don't know how you feel about it, but like you can have your preference, but when you start like making it your whole personality, only
Yes.
dating people like that, like never looking outside of that, that's when it becomes the fetishization and the problem.
Yeah, so
This
that's very similar. Yeah.
Mhm.
Because it's like, oh, I have some preferences for types, but I don't stick to them exclusively, and nor do
Yeah.
I ever announce them.
No, I
You
don't feel
know?
the need to go
Like,
online or even in person. Like you start off the book talking about how this guy was talking about how he loves Asian women, and he obviously was like, this is a compliment.
yeah.
Like, you should be
Oh,
flattered.
yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah, I've had men in my DMs and everything do that type of stuff too. So it's very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it also makes it, I'm sure you've also experienced this, it makes it hard to differentiate when people are fetishizing you and when they're like genuinely interested in you as a person.
Very much so. Like for
Yeah.
me, it's not a deal breaker, but if a guy, I date both Asians and white guys, but if I date like white and others, but if I date a white guy and he's had like two Asian exes, that's like a
You're like,
major red flag.
yeah.
Or even one. I just rather date someone who's never dated an Asian woman and just happened to meet
Mhm.
me who happens to be Asian.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. And then there's also like for me, like little things that they'll say, like sometimes a lot of times they like to be like, you look like you're such a good cuddler. And I'm like, first of all, I'm not a big fan of physical touch, so no. But but I will say that one major difference between like fat fetish and Asian fetish is the unfortunate like violence that you talk about in your book, which
Yeah, yeah.
I also had never heard of those shootings before. I don't know what I was doing in the year 2021, but I did not
I'm
hear about it.
sure they're not necessarily publicized that much,
Mm-mm.
like except inside our circle we knew about it. But yeah, it may not, the media doesn't always cover
Yeah.
these incidents. Yeah.
Which for those who don't know, there was a shooting in, was it Atlanta, Georgia?
Yeah, I think it was Atlanta adjacent, but in that
Okay.
area. And a shooter came out and shot 8 people, and 6 of them were Asian women. And he specifically went to these massage parlors that he frequented.
Mm-hmm.
So it was targeted. Yeah.
Yeah. And he had like a sex and a porn addiction. And he
Mhm.
blamed, and instead of like looking into himself and fixing whatever was causing him to feel the need to,
Do this. Yeah.
yeah, do whatever, he blamed the
The
porn
women.
industry and the Asian women.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah, it was so sad to read about. And the fact that, as you said, it wasn't really very publicized at all. And I think also that probably has to do a lot with the atmosphere around Asian people at the time with
Yeah.
COVID-19. How did you see COVID-19 like affect the Asian community or yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like personally experience it, though I was like in my house, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, I get
But
that.
yeah, I mean, there were just so many reports of like elderly people, men and
Mm.
women, and mostly women, like elderly women just walking along Chinatown and getting like assaulted by
Yeah,
people, and then other people being called. There's so many viral videos of like people getting told to go back home or whatever. So
they love to throw that one out.
yeah.
But any
Like,
minority group, I'm like, guys, we're not from here. Like,
yeah.
we are all immigrants
Yes, like
at
people
some
forget
point.
that or something.
Like,
Like,
they do. I'm a real American. I'm just like, no. Okay,
Like, this is stolen land, actually.
it sure
Yeah.
is. No one's illegal on stolen
Yeah.
land. All that violence, and it shows the extreme consequences of the whole Asia file and yellow fever, and how much it can escalate. Because like I said, the major difference is, like, I looked it up because I was like, were there any people like randomly murdered for just being fat? And not that I found.
Okay.
Which is
I
good.
love that you looked. I wondered what your search term was.
I searched it incognito because I was like, they probably still know, but at least it won't like mess with my algorithm or whatever. But I was, because I was like, is that happening, or is this mostly just like there's a lot of violence towards Asian people? And I was correct in thinking that, yeah, it's just unfortunately a lot of violence towards Asian people. And then what you mentioned, two major stereotypes in your book, correct? It was like the nerdy Asian, and then what was the
there's
other
like the
one?
model minority, they call it, and then there's like the China doll or the dragon lady. Those are like kind of three very dominant ones.
And the dragon lady is like kind of like the Lucy Liu type. Is that?
Yeah, it's just like a very aggressive, mysterious, like dominatrix type one who like seduces men with her power.
Which again is like, people were probably trying to break away from this idea, like, oh, we're so submissive, like we're just there to please, and then they do, and
the other extreme.
And it just swings it the other way, which is probably very, very, very frustrating, because you're like, we're just trying to be seen as like three-dimensional people.
Why don't we just be a normal person?
I know, with personalities and interests, and all you just want to see us as is like a sex symbol in some form, which is very frustrating, I'm sure. Other than, you writing books like this, what do you feel that maybe other people or people like myself can do to help to bring light to the damage that these stereotypes do, and to help maybe move away from these stereotypes in the media?
I think it's just information. It's just like you're saying, you've never even heard this before. So for us, it's getting the word out there. And then for allies, I guess it's just learning more about it. I have so many men asking me like, oh, what's a fetish or a preference? Like, they're like wanting to know the difference. And I'm like, can you please educate yourself? Because there's plenty of books about that and plenty of articles about that, actually.
Google is free. Which I've really found that people, especially with the popularity of TikTok, instead of going to Google, they like leave comments or make videos. I'm like, you have your phone in your hand. If you're curious about this, type it and look it up. It's not hard. What is happening? Like, I feel like we've gotten so lazy that we're like, I'm just gonna make a short little video and hopefully someone answers it. And if they don't, I guess I'll just say, not
ignorant knowing about it.
I'm like, okay.
Like, I think one guy asked, and I was like, I actually wrote a book on it. And he was like, I was hoping you would give me a summary. And I was like,
oh my gosh.
That's exactly the opposite of maybe wanting to know more information.
Yes. And it's also not your responsibility to educate them, which obviously, like, you are by sharing your story. But, it's, you can't go to every single person and explain everything. They need to do the work themselves. The type of content you make now, you've obviously shifted from the import and pinup days. What type of content are you making now on social media?
Well, it was so accidental because, like, I'm a travel writer, and then all my work got canceled in the pandemic, obviously.
Of course, yeah.
So then I was like, I guess I have time to learn TikTok. So then I spent like a year just posting 3 videos a day, just like, we called it throwing pizza at the wall to see what sticks. Like, we tried everything, me and my best friend, like sobriety content, travel content. And it was only when I started posting about like Asian American issues that people were like, oh, I guess there's like a hole for this. Like, people want to know more about this. So I kind of just went into reporting on Asian American news, or like stereotypes or trends, and then some of the stuff that happened in the 2000s that were forgotten.
Yeah. Did you find that majority of the comments and things that you were getting were more positive than negative? I mean, there's always negativity out there, but
Yes, in general, but like for me, and I would say like to creators to just not really care what other people are thinking, and maybe don't read
yeah.
your comments if you are sensitive to that. But when I
Yes,
was in my early
absolutely.
20s and I was doing the pinup stuff, I got such hate comments that I am so immune to it. Like you can say
Mhm.
anything, and I'm like, I've heard worse,
You're like,
you
"Oh,
know?
well,
Yeah.
it's fine." Yeah, it's sad but true fact. Yes, I've also had my fair share of not so nice comments, and I've had to, like, stop reading them or turn off the comments on some videos because 'cause I'm like, "No, this is my space. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna
And like,
bring that."
how
Yeah.
angry of a person are you, or unhappy of a person that you're going to go to the trouble of like typing something like that? And then
Yes.
also the one requirement I want to like institute, which will never be the case, but if you're going to post, you have to have your first and last name and like
And
a
your actual face.
yes, yeah, like no secret. Like that's so cowardly.
I know. And they are. That's the
They are,
thing,
yeah.
is they are very big cowards. Like, it's yeah, it makes me mad. I'm like, if you're gonna say something, at least have the balls to actually, like, show your face on your profile picture or
Yeah.
whatever. And do you find, because I know, like, in the fat community, sometimes, like, the calls coming from inside the house, like, the worst commenters and the meanest people are fat people sometimes, who
Oh,
have this,
okay.
like, internalized fat phobia.
Yeah.
Do you find that?
I actually do because I guess when I was doing the pinup modeling stuff, the a lot of hate came from the Asian community because they were like, "Oh, slut, whore," all kinds of stuff like that. So definitely that. And then I always was like never invited to the more respectable events because I was like
Hmm.
the trashy girl or whatever.
I know that you said in your book that you somewhat regret, doing the import and pinup modeling just because you feel like you help perpetuate these stereotypes. But do you also think that maybe in the long run, like, it helped open your eyes and made it so that you're able to share stories like this and hopefully help more?
Yeah, like I never really regret everything because you learn from every experience.
Mhm.
But what I say is that if I had like this media landscape right now, if I had Blackpink and all these other positive role models, I wouldn't have chosen that path.
Yeah.
But that said, doing that, I had a lot of fun sometimes, like with that community. And I do think it perpetuated the Asian fetish, but none of us were like trying to do that.
Yeah.
That was not our intention. And now I have learned about it. And we are all luckily looking back at these times and like analyzing
Mhm.
what we did in the 2000s collectively.
I
Yeah.
also feel like it's bad if you're looking back on, like, yourself 5 or 10 years ago or however long, and you're completely happy with everything that you've done,
Yeah,
because
you
you
should
should always
always
be
be, yeah, improving and
evolving.
growing. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's true.
And learning more as you grow. Yeah, so I feel like it's probably a good thing that you look back on those times and you're like, I had fun, but, like, maybe some of
Yeah,
those
maybe
were
not that.
interesting."
Maybe I wouldn't have done
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
exactly. Obviously, on my podcast, I talk about representation, like movies and media, and you had a list at the end of your book of, it says, a not entirely comprehensive list of fetishized portrayals of Asian women in mainstream media. And it is probably could be an even longer
Yeah,
list.
probably. Yeah. I probably missed quite a few.
I'm sure. But is there any that stick out in your mind that you think really influenced you in the 2000s culture the most?
Well, I think I would end up naming the same ones because there were so few of them. Literally so few of them. Um, but I would also say Kill Bill,
Mhm.
which I loved. I loved Lucy Liu's character. I loved Gogo Yubari, that like psychotic schoolgirl,
Yeah.
the Japanese schoolgirl trope. was so present in the 2000s. Like, why were Asian girls always dressed up as Japanese schoolgirls? There were the Austin Powers twins, Japanese schoolgirls, the slutty ones. And then there's also Devon Aoki. I think she was in Sin City as a schoolgirl, not sure, or in Debs. But yeah, Asian girls were dressed up as Japanese schoolgirls often.
For some odd reason. And yeah, for some, when you were talking about that, also slightly off topic, but it was making me think when you were in Nylon Pink and they were wanting you to do that music video.
Oh my God,
with
yeah.
the sushi, and then they were not willing to budge.
No,
on having
not
you
one
guys
single bit.
do nudity. But then the second an all white male band came in, they were like, we'll just use the actress,
like
which
we
is
suggested.
exactly yes. It made me so mad reading that. I was
it's like absurd, actually. Yeah,
you're joking, because the amount of times that I've like come up with an idea and said something, and then a man's heard it and then said it louder, and then it's come off. I'm like, this is giving that, and it just made me so mad.
Yeah, I think that's just a normal situation.
Movies like Charlie's Angels, I feel like it is a very iconic movie, and you know, like you said, Austin Powers, things like that. But we've definitely, luckily, moved away from the tropes as much. Do you feel like there are still some, like, what's the word? I guess tropes in like Crazy Rich Asians or things like that you're like, maybe we could have done that better?
Yeah, I don't know if there was any in Crazy Rich Asians that stood out to me. And then Beef. Did you watch Beef on Netflix? That was so great.
Did I watch Beef? I don't think what genre is it?
It's drama, and it was, I think, Ali.
Ali Wong.
I don't remember the actress. I think it was Ali Wong, and she was playing like two people got into a car accident and they become like ragely getting revenge on each other. So there's no Asian female stereotypes there, and it was great.
I haven't seen that one, but I did see the Always Be My Maybe with her in it. I've seen that one.
I haven't seen that, but I heard it was really good too.
Yeah, because I also haven't seen like Parasite, because I'm not a horror or thriller person, so I'm like,
very dark.
I'm okay. I'm really okay.
Yeah. Or Squid Game. That's like not stereotypical either.
Yeah, I've seen parts of Squid Game. I was gonna ask you to name a few of your favorite representation now, but
okay.
You just did.
Yeah.
There you go. Are there any others that you were like, this one's really good?
I mean, I'm a huge Blackpink fan, and I love Lisa the most. So I think she's like, just the fact, this is what's like really crazy to me. They're all pursuing solo careers simultaneously. And like Lisa's known as Lisa, which is like a very common name, you know?
Yeah.
And that's crazy because, you know, Beyonce, that's a very specific name.
Yeah.
That it's even possible for Lisa to just go by Lisa. That's like something I wouldn't have been able to fathom growing up.
Yeah, it's nice when you see it getting better for the next generation, because I also like, even now, there's things that I want to pursue that I'm like, do I really want to? Because it's going to be such an uphill battle.
Yeah.
Like, am I the person that has the energy and the time to like fight this, you know, type of thing? And I'm hoping that for all minority groups, that it just gets better. Unfortunately, with our current administration, it might be a while. It might be hard, but I hope that it continues to get better.
Yeah, I have this feeling that like everything eventually gets better. I mean, it is a troubling time right now, but I feel like it's like 2 steps forward and 1 giant step back. So I think we're on the giant step back, but I still think we're, you know, we used to like burn women at the stake. Which is, so it is better now, you know, it's getting better.
Well, when you put it that way, yeah, I hope it would be better. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Is there anything in your book that you wanted to talk about that I haven't mentioned? Because there's so much in your book. I was like, what do I focus on? I don't know.
No,
many
you've
things.
covered like such a good part of it. I guess the message I want people to, or women mostly, to take, no, both men and women, because I want men to learn what it feels like to be objectified and fetishized. And even like non-Asian women know what it's like to be objectified, because there is no woman who's never been objectified, basically.
It's true.
And
Like,
so I would love men to read it for that reason. And then for women to just realize, like, I do want to be sex positive and say, like, oh, if you want to be sexy and like own it, do that. But like, don't make that your whole identity, like I did.
yeah.
You know, because we have so much more to offer.
And you do talk about feminism as well in the book, and how when I was reading it, I was like, I feel like as long as you're actually doing it for yourself and you feel that you're being your truest self, then you're fine. But I feel like it's when you're doing it more for the male gaze and male validation and things like that where it becomes like a problem.
Yeah, and it's really hard to separate that, because that's where the tricky part goes. Because all of us were saying, oh, power. And Emrata, really recommend that book too. Emily Ratajkowski, she wrote a book called My Body. You know, when she came out in that Blurred Lines music video where she was naked and it like shot her to huge fame, she was like, I'm empowered and like I'm confident. And now when she's looking back, she was like, maybe not. You
Maybe
know,
not so much.
So it's very hard for like a 21-year-old woman to be able to decide, is this the male gaze, or is this actually I'm just being empowered? That's
yeah. It's also hard because, you know, the patriarchy is in everything.
Yeah.
And the male gaze is in everything. And
that
so
is the gaze. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
if you're trying to, you know, break away from that, it's difficult because so much of our society is built around it. So at one point, maybe you are like, yes, this is liberating. And then some guy makes it into something and you're like, okay, well, never mind. Just kidding.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a hard thing to navigate. Absolutely. And I do agree. I think that everyone should read this book. Men, women, people who are Asian or not Asian, you know, we can all learn about other people's experiences and how to, you know, better help and just be a better person in general, I feel like.
Yeah, I think what a lack of America has right now is learning. Like,
yes.
Not just about other cultures, but in general.
In general, yeah, absolutely. Learn, read, look for answers. Don't just go on TikTok and
not
make
on
little
YouTube.
videos.
Do not go on YouTube for your learning.
Yeah, so I think that will be all for this episode. Is there anything, obviously your book comes out August 9th. Pre-order, order it, get it. It's so good. I cannot recommend it enough. Is there anything else you wanted to plug, like your social medias?
Yeah, I'm just Kaila Yu on everything. So like my website's my name, my Instagram and TikTok. So you could find me pretty easily.
Yes, and I will have those all linked below, as well as the podcast socials and my socials. And thank you all for listening. And until next time, stay fat and fabulous. Bye.